Welcome to Install from Heap Breaking News, a special episode of the Netrunner podcast from Rattlebox Games about jank, deck building, and cyberpunk nonsense. It's November 16th, 2016. I'm Brendan Riley. It was my intention to port this into a larger segment of the podcast when my colleague at Rattlebox Games reminded me that this is a podcast, and I can just upload another episode whenever I want. As the classic mysterious website Zombo.com reminds us, the only limit is yourself. Thus is born Breaking News, a special episode of Install from Heap that might become a series. I'm inspired to talk today about Fantasy Flight's announcement of the new deluxe pack slated to release in early 2017. The campaign expansion, Terminal Directive. The hard-hitting news to show up on the Netrunner announcement page is as follows. Prepare yourself for a thrilling race that plays out over the course of multiple games. Each match impacts the larger shape of your investigations. Each dataset you unlock leads you in a new direction. You may have run before, you may have pursued your corporate agendas, but nothing you've done can prepare you for Terminal Directive and the narrative-driven campaign play it brings to Android-netrunner. The announcement has capital letters on some words like a comic book monologue, so some thoughts. Let's jack in. Dedication Ceremony. The emergence of a narrative element to this game is a welcome change, and quite possibly a great way to get new players involved. All you need to play is the core set and this expansion. That's an excellent entry point for someone who's been considering the game or doesn't want to pursue the tournament or online play options. Self-modifying code. I'm also really keen to see how the legacy element plays out. The press release strongly implies that each player chooses a side to play for the duration, and that your success or failure will determine how your side does in the story. I'm a bit nervous about this, as two players who aren't evenly matched may find one player pulling ahead of the other, and a campaign isn't fun if you always lose. The fact that the game comes with two IDs for each side, a Shaper, a Criminal, a Hoss-Bioroid, and a Wayland, might mean that a pair of players could go through the narrative twice, once playing each side. The story will be a bit spoiled the second time, but it might be worth doing. High-risk investment. There's already been plenty of scuttlebutt about the mercenary price of this expansion. While it does come with additional components, a couple character cards and a sticker sheet, it offers almost the same number of new cards that a usual deluxe expansion would. Reading between the lines, it looks like Terminal Directive will have one copy of each of 2 corporate identities and 2 runner identities, and complete playsets of 28 corporation cards and 25 runner cards, for a total of 163 cards. By comparison, all 3 of the previous deluxe expansions came with 3 copies each of 55 new cards, for a total of 165 cards. However, where all 4 of the previous deluxe expansions cost $30 retail, Terminal Directive will be $60. Having spent some time doing game development myself, I can say it's really difficult, and I think this higher price likely is justified by the extra time spent building the narrative component. In addition to the legacy story element, the design team will also have had to make the usual considerations for balance and the wider card pool, as Damon Stone, lead designer, had indicated that the cards from this expansion will be tournament legal, meaning that not only are we getting a legacy-style game, we're also getting a deluxe expansion for the overall card pool. Does the added development and more complex manufacturing process justify doubling the price? Only time will tell. While I'm a bit disappointed at the high price, I can't wait for this game. Here's hoping the campaign model is a success and that it leads to an ongoing set of expansions for this already excellent game. Well, that's it for Install from Heap Breaking News 1, Terminal Directive. We'll be back on Friday with a regularly scheduled episode. Thanks for listening.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.